Sophia Collins was an art restorer with a keen eye for detail. Her skilled fingers glided over the worn surfaces of ancient paintings, bringing forth forgotten colors and hidden stories. But there was a kind of art that made her uncomfortable: mirrors. Since childhood, Sophia felt an inexplicable fear of these reflective objects. It wasn't just the reflection of her own face that disturbed her. It was something deeper, something that seemed to lurk behind the glass. She avoided mirrors whenever possible, but fate led her to a place where she couldn't escape them. The art gallery was situated in a majestic Victorian mansion, with dark corridors and rooms filled with artworks. At night, when the lights were softly diffused, Sophia found herself surrounded by paintings and sculptures, but also by antique mirrors. They hung on the walls like portals to other dimensions, capturing fragments of reality and distorting them. During a nighttime exhibition, Sophia received an intriguing proposition. The gallery curator, Mr. Harrington, approached her with an enigmatic smile. "Miss Collins, we have a mirror that needs restoration," he said. "It's part of a private collection and one of the oldest in this house. We're willing to pay handsomely for your work." Sophia hesitated. She knew she couldn't refuse the offer, but the thought of working so intimately with a mirror made her uneasy. She agreed, and Mr. Harrington led her to a room at the back of the gallery. The mirror was covered by a dark cloth, as if it were patiently awaiting its redemption. Sophia removed the fabric and was paralyzed. The reflection staring back at her wasn't her own. It was a woman in a white dress, with empty eyes and disheveled hair. The woman seemed trapped in the glass, begging for release. Sophia began working on the mirror, but each touch seemed to awaken something dormant. She witnessed glimpses of distant memories, unfamiliar faces, and places she had never visited. At night, when everyone else had left, she continued her solitary task. The reflections in the mirror multiplied, forming a labyrinth of distorted images. One night, while polishing the frame, Sophia saw the woman in the white dress again. This time, she whispered unintelligible words, but Sophia understood the desperation in her eyes. The restorer delved into the mirror's history, conducting research and investigations in the surrounding area, uncovering accounts of a woman who had disappeared during an exhibition decades ago. She had been abandoned by her lover, and ever since, her spirit had wandered through the reflections, seeking revenge. Sophia was trapped in a nightmare. The mirror watched her, and the missing woman haunted her. She knew she needed to confront her own dark past related to mirrors to break the curse. But as the reflections multiplied, time was running out, and so began the battle between the restorer and the trapped spirit. Sophia fought for survival as the Victorian mansion turned into a maze of silent mirrors. She was determined to break the curse, but how? And at what price? The old mirror remained in the center of the restoration room, its polished surface flawless. Sophia Collins worked meticulously, her fingers gliding over the glass as if trying to decipher an enigma. With each touch, she felt a subtle vibration, as if the mirror were whispering long-forgotten secrets. Disturbing visions continued to haunt her. At night, when everyone had gone home, Sophia found herself alone with the mirror. The distorted reflections seemed to come to life, dancing around her like restless shadows. She saw unfamiliar faces, slender figures, and scenes from a distant past. One afternoon, while working on the ornate frame, Sophia found a nearly faded inscription. The words were ancient and written in a language she didn't recognize. She searched tirelessly, scouring dusty books and digital archives in the gallery's collections and the local library. Finally, she discovered that the inscription was a curse cast by a desperate woman centuries ago. The mirror was more than just a simple object. It was a portal to another dimension, a place where the living and the dead met. Sophia felt like she was being watched, as if unseen eyes followed her everywhere. She began to avoid her own reflection, fearing what she might find. One night, when the moon was high in the sky, Sophia saw something that made her tremble. Her own reflection in the mirror was no longer hers. It was of a woman in a white dress, with empty eyes and disheveled hair. The same woman who appeared in her disturbing visions. "Who are you?" Sophia whispered to the mirror. The woman didn't respond, but her eyes seemed to plead for help. She was trapped between worlds, condemned to wander through reflections for all eternity. Sophia delved even deeper into the mirror's story. She discovered that the missing woman was a talented artist whose works had been forgotten by the world. She had fallen in love with a cruel man who heartlessly abandoned her. In her despair, she cast a curse on the mirror, cursing all those who reflected in it. The restorer felt a connection with the missing woman. She had also been abandoned, albeit in a different way. Her father had left her when she was a child, and since then, Sophia avoided mirrors as if they were gateways to loneliness. But now she was trapped in a maze of distorted reflections. The mirror called to her, whispering promises of knowledge and power. Sophia knew she needed to break the curse, but the price would be high. She would have to confront her own fears and traumas, diving into the depths of the mirror to face the imprisoned spirit. And so, Sophia Collins found herself facing a dilemma: continue her quest for truth or flee from the disturbing reflections that haunted her. The choice was hers, but the mirror wouldn't allow her to escape easily. Sophia Collins was obsessed with the mirror. Every detail, every imperfection, seemed to hold an untold story. She spent hours researching, digging through files of all kinds, and interviewing the city's elders. The missing woman, whose spirit now haunted her, had become her obsession. The woman's story was tragic. Her name was Isabella, a young artist who frequented art gallery exhibitions. On a rainy night, Isabella disappeared without a trace. Her body was never found, but her spirit seemed to have found refuge in the old mirror. Sophia discovered that Isabella had been abandoned by her lover, a cruel man who had used and then discarded her. In her pain and anger, Isabella cast a curse on the mirror, condemning all those who reflected in it. She wanted revenge. She wanted others to feel the same loneliness and despair she had felt. As Sophia delved deeper into her research, the reflections in the mirror became clearer. She saw Isabella at different moments in her life: painting in her small studio, dancing at an elegant party, crying in a dark room. The mirror seemed to contain fragments of the past, as if it were a window to another time. One night, while working at the mirror, Sophia felt a presence behind her. She turned around and saw Isabella, her white dress stained with mud and her eyes filled with sadness. The missing woman didn't speak, but her expression said it all. She wanted to break the curse, wanted to find peace. Sophia was torn. She felt compassion for Isabella, but also feared the power of the mirror. The distorted reflections haunted her, showing visions of her own past. She saw her father leaving her, saw herself alone in a dark room, saw fear in the eyes of a scared child. But Sophia also felt a connection with Isabella. Both were strong women, battling their own tragedies. She knew she needed to confront the spirit, break the curse, and free Isabella. But how? And so, Sophia began to seek answers in the details of the mirror. She studied the curse inscription, searched for clues in the reflections, and delved into the memories of the Victorian mansion. She was determined to unravel the puzzle, even if it meant confronting her own fears and secrets. The mirror had become an obsession for Sophia Collins. She spent hours studying every detail, every distorted reflection. The other gallery employees began to notice her change in behavior. She was more withdrawn, her eyes tired from sleepless nights. Sophia continued her research on Isabella, the missing woman. She found accounts of other people who had been reflected in the mirror and suffered terrible consequences. Some went mad, others disappeared without a trace. One night, while working on the mirror, Sophia felt a presence behind her. She turned around and saw Isabella again. The missing woman was clearer this time, her eyes filled with sadness and anger. She wanted to break the curse. She wanted revenge against those who abandoned her. Sophia was torn between compassion and fear. She knew she needed to confront the spirit, but she feared the price she would have to pay. The reflections in the mirror multiplied, showing clearer visions of her own past. She saw her father abandoning her, saw herself alone in a dark room, saw the fear in the eyes of a frightened child. The gallery was also changing. The paintings looked darker, the sculptures more distorted. Visitors commented on the heavy atmosphere, as if something was wrong. Sophia felt that the mirror was affecting everyone around her. And then, one night, she had a vision. She was in the past, at an elegant party in the Victorian mansion. Isabella danced with her lover, her eyes shining with happiness. But then, something happened. The lover abandoned her, and Isabella cast the curse upon the mirror. Sophia realized that the curse was not just about revenge. It was about loneliness, despair, and madness. She was being drawn into the mirror, losing sight of time and reality. The distorted reflections called to her, whispering promises of knowledge and power. And so, Sophia found herself facing a dilemma. She could break the curse and free Isabella, but that would mean confronting her own fears and secrets. She would have to plunge into the depths of the mirror, where madness awaited her. The mirror had become a prison for Sophia Collins. She was trapped between worlds, her distorted reflection not only mirroring her appearance, but also her deepest fears and secrets. The Victorian mansion seemed darker with each passing day, as if the building itself was aware of the curse that plagued it. Sophia continued her quest for truth. She studied the inscription of the curse, attempting to decipher if there was another hidden meaning. She read about other people who had been reflected in the mirror and driven mad. She felt the presence of Isabella, the missing woman, growing stronger. The artist seemed to want to communicate, but her words were only unintelligible whispers. Sophia had another vision. She was in the past, witnessing scenes of the couple in love, and when the lover abandoned Isabella, Sophia saw the despair in the woman's eyes, the consuming rage, the moment when Isabella cast the terrible curse upon the mirror. Sophia knew she needed to break the curse, but how? She approached the mirror, touching its cold surface. The distorted reflections called out to her, showing visions of her own past, always repeating that fateful scene of paternal abandonment and the ensuing childhood suffering. And then, she understood. The curse wasn't just about revenge. It was about facing the truth. The mirror showed not only what was behind the glass, but also what was within her. Sophia realized she needed to confront her own fears and secrets to free Isabella. She began to write letters to her father, confessing her hurt and her need for understanding. Memories of her childhood, facing abandonment and loneliness. She put it all on paper, letting the words flow like tears. And then, she approached the mirror once again. Isabella stood there, the white dress stained with mud, her eyes filled with sadness. Sophia looked at the reflection, facing the truth she had avoided for so long. "I understand now," whispered Sophia. "The curse isn't just about you. It's about me too. It's about all of us who reflect in the mirror and hide our truths." Isabella smiled, and the mirror seemed to vibrate. The curse's words faded away, and the glass became transparent. Sophia saw her own face, but she also saw something more: courage, acceptance, and forgiveness. And so, Sophia seemingly broke the curse. Isabella disappeared, but her presence still lingered in some corner of the frame. The Victorian mansion seemed more oppressive than ever. Sophia Collins was exhausted, but her determination never wavered. She prayed that she had indeed broken the curse. The distorted reflections still haunted her, showing visions of her own past and of the missing woman, Isabella. Sophia continued her search. She found an old diary, forgotten in a corner of the library, covered in cobwebs. The yellowed pages contained Isabella's words, written in delicate handwriting. She described her passion for art, her pain of abandonment, and her anger towards those who had betrayed her. Sophia also found clues on how to break the curse once and for all. She needed to find the original mirror, the first mirror Isabella had cursed. That mirror was hidden somewhere in the mansion, waiting for someone brave enough to confront it. And so, Sophia began her quest. She delved into the darkest corners of the mansion, following clues left by Isabella. She discovered secret passages, locked rooms, and endless corridors. The reflections in the mirror guided her, showing glimpses of the original mirror. The quest seemed to reach its conclusion when one night, Sophia stumbled upon a forgotten room. The air was charged with energy, as if the very space was awaiting her. In the center of the room stood an ancient mirror, its frame intricately carved from wood. Sophia felt an immediate connection. This was the original mirror. She approached, touching the cold surface. The distorted reflections multiplied, showing images of Isabella, the mansion, and her own life. Sophia closed her eyes and recited the words of the curse. She felt the power of the mirror, the energy flowing through her. But this time, Sophia was prepared. She had also brought her own words with her. She confessed her fears, her hurts, and her secrets. She confronted the mirror, looking directly into Isabella's reflection. "I break the curse," said Sophia determinedly. "Not just for you, Isabella, but for myself as well. We are stronger than our fears." The mirror trembled, and Sophia felt a wave of energy. The distorted reflections merged into a single image. Isabella, smiling. The mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces, and Sophia collapsed to the ground, exhausted. When she awoke, the mansion was different. The heavy atmosphere had lifted, and the paintings and sculptures seemed more vibrant. Sophia knew that Isabella had found peace. And so, Sophia Collins left the Victorian mansion behind. She carried with her the memories of shattered mirrors, faced truths, and the courage she had found. She was no longer afraid of reflections, for she knew that truth was more powerful than any curse.